Cycle Drag Universe drag racing fans, do I have a story for you? It starts like this. It was about 7 weeks ago that I noticed on Facebook Marketplace there was a listing for one of Pro Stock legend Dave Schultz's former race bikes. Who is Dave Schultz? That is the man you see right there. Those are his leathers. He was an absolute legend of motorcycle drag racing, not just one of the greatest racers ever in that sport, but one of the greatest NHRA drivers of all time. In fact, NHRA put him on their list of top 50 drivers. That's why I call him a driver. He's a rider, he's a driver as well. But what was impressive about that is NHRA is mainly a car organization. So to recognize Dave Schultz, 6-time champion, 45-time event winner, shows what an iconic figure he was, just how successful he was. Unfortunately, Dave left us more than 20 years ago, succumbed to colon cancer, but he's sorely missed. He's kind of like motorcycle drag racing's Dale Earnhardt Sr., if I had to make a comparison. He was that influential and that important. Well, 7 weeks ago, I saw one of his motorcycles. It was the white Sunoco bike, and it was covered in dust, and it was for sale for about $7,500. Now, it said that this bike came out of the cafe, the restaurant known as Race Rock in Orlando, Florida, if you remember that. And at one point, Race Rock was really rocking and rolling because when NASCAR was red hot, they had a ton of vehicles in there. They would approach racers, they would buy some of their old outdated cars or bikes, and they would put them on display. Well, unfortunately, Race Rock does not exist anymore, and it hasn't for quite some time. So what happened to all these vehicles? Well, occasionally we see them surface, much like we saw one of Elmer Trett's old Top Fuel motorcycles surface not long ago, but a Schultz bike? Are you kidding me? Well, apparently this thing had been in storage for a long, long time, and I had to get the story. So I immediately contacted this owner 7 weeks ago and said, hey, can I please come see this bike? And he said, hey, sorry, you just missed it. It was sold to some nice guys. I think they plan on displaying it. Not exactly sure. And I thought that was the end of it. And that is until last week when I saw the bike surface in a new Facebook Marketplace ad. And this time it was shared in drag racing forums and had thousands and thousands of views. The bike was now cleaned up. You could tell that they put some work into it. It was now listed for $12,500. And it was again in Orlando, Florida. That's only 100 miles from where I'm at now. So I said, I have got to jump on my motorcycle and check this out. So you are invited along with me. Let's go see this. But to dig a little deeper, you know, I have a great luxury of having a wonderful Rolodex of people that know so much about the sport. And I thought if anybody knows anything about this bike, that would be the lovely widow of Dave Schultz, Meredith DeGlopper Schultz, who is now married to my good friend Earl DeGlopper, who was a longtime superstar for Paul Gast. He was also the crew chief when Gino Scali won the Pro Stock Championship in 2003. So I got to talking with them and I said, guys, do you know anything about this bike? Can we verify anything on this bike? Because they said as a rule of thumb, generally speaking, if Dave would give a bike away, then it could often be a top gas bike with a body on it, just something made to look right. But was there a possibility that this was an actual race bike? As Meredith and Earl dug into it a little deeper, they found out that this bike was indeed sold to Race Rock, so they weren't 100% sure. And that told me I had to jump on the Kawasaki KZ. I know Dave Schultz would appreciate that and take a ride. So come along with me. And after that, we're going to try to catch up with Meredith DeGlopper Schultz and see if we can get some more information on this bike. But I want to know your thoughts down below. If you've ever seen Schultz race, I want to know that as well. And let's head to Orlando.
Let's get out of here and take a ride. We got to take old school. I know Dave Schultz will be proud of this one.
Woo, we made it. That was a good 100-mile ride. Very smooth. Maybe the great Dave Schultz was looking over me from up above. Thank you, Dave. I think he'd be proud of a 50-year-old motorcycle coming out here 100 miles. We're not far from Orlando Speed World, by the way. Love this area, and I can't wait to see what we're getting into. This motorcycle, I'm pumped, guys. Come on, let's go check it out. Oh, there's some familiar faces. How you guys doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Oh my goodness. Yep. This is This is what we came for. Oh, look at it, guys. I can see why this thing got thousands and thousands of views online. So good to see you guys. Could you please introduce yourself to Cycle Drag
Jason.
YouTube? Thanks so much, man. We got a lot to talk about, so sit tight. There's one for the
Gotta
toolbox
have another
for you.
one.
And could you please introduce yourself, sir?
Hey Jack, I'm Terry. How you doing? Nice to meet
Good
you.
to see you guys. Well, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, as you know, first off, thank you for having me. I know you're busy. Tons of views on this machine as I saw it, and I said immediately it brought back nostalgia, brought back memories. Dave Schultz, one of my favorites. I think he's kind of like the Dale Earnhardt of pro stock motorcycle racing, just all-time great. And we're looking at this bike. So what do we know about this bike so far? Definitely from the early 90s. Some have questioned, you get all kind of questions. Was it legitimately from Dave Schultz? We know it's 100% from Dave Schultz. It was in the restaurant Race Rock here in Orlando, which is no longer exists. What do we know so far, guys? And how did you come upon it?
Well, I got it through a friend of mine called me and told me that it just got listed. I called the guy, found out he was 8 miles down the road, and I was there. But he had raised the price and took it offline. So I was like, he wanted a lot more money, so I brought Terry in. I was like, I did not want to leave that place without this bike. I didn't know how much money he would want for this bike. And once he found out what it was, it'd been sitting for over 10 years, and the guy just in a warehouse.
That's amazing. Yeah, Race Rock's been gone for quite some time, hasn't it?
2007.
2007. Okay, because I think Elmer Trett's bike was there at one point, right? I mean, that was a popular.
Steve Johnson.
Steve Johnson was there. They were all there. Very cool. So when you probably being, I'm sure you guys have seen Dave Schultz race, right? Back in the day.
Absolutely. We used to go to Pro Star every year.
Oh, that is so cool. And that's when I see this bike, it takes me back to ADCO early 90s,
Oh, yeah, I love
watching
that.
this livery.
It's one of my favorite tracks.
Well, I don't want to bring a tear to your eye, but unfortunately ADCO is now gone.
I heard. I couldn't believe it.
Good Lord.
I love going to that track.
Tough one. Well, being that you're such a big fan of Schultz like I am, what was your reaction when you saw that this motorcycle was available?
I didn't actually think I'd be able to own it. I figured somebody steal it before I get there, but I wanted it. I mean, having a piece of history like that, I mean, the guy was a phenomenal rider, and just having something that was his, and I kind of wanted to get it back in a place where everybody could see it instead of put it back in a warehouse for another 10 years.
I like that idea a lot. You guys have got it cleaned up very, very nice. And here's the big question as we investigate this thing. It's what exactly is it? We're talking about early 90s. Unfortunately, Dave's not here to tell us anymore. We ran into the same situation with Elmer's bike. We wondered what exactly was the situation. But what do you guys think we're looking here? What have you learned so far about this bike?
Supposedly 93, 94 pro stock bike, but it's a display bike.
Okay.
And that's how they had it listed in Race Rock
Gotcha.
on the ad when they sold it.
So now with a display bike, Schultz was smart, man. He was a great marketer. So he had some extra bikes that would go to different events. As an example, I remember one time the NHRA Pro Stock motorcycles were running somewhere, maybe Brainerd, I don't know. And I'm in Pittsburgh at the Regatta, and Dave Schultz's trailer and a bike is there because he was just such a great marketer. He would send a bike. Now, with a display bike, we know what they like to do is they put in cases, but usually no internals. No crank, no pistons or anything like that. Is that the case here?
Yeah, no clutch basket. Might have half a crank, but there's no pistons or anything in it.
Okay.
So it's just a set of cases. MTC cylinder and 1150 head.
It is so cool, piece of history. Well, I thank you very much. I've been waiting for this to take this body off this beauty, you guys.
Here's a beautiful chassis.
Oh my! Let's see. Let me get out of your way
Let me
here.
get by here. Put it out here, guys.
Yeah, I'll bring it fast here.
I'd say even just that body has got to seriously be worth some money to a Schultz collector. An authentic body, period, correct.
It is. All the stickers are on it. Can't believe they're still there after all these years.
Now, you know what's cool? A Schultz fact that I have? This was his first white bike, I think, and this is what earned him the nickname,
Yes.
the Milkman.
Yeah.
Some people called him the Milkman.
That's correct. That's correct.
Oh, so here we go, guys. Speaking of a legend, we got the Fast by Gas Electron carburetors. One of Dave's good buddies, one of his racing partners, Paul Fast by Gas. I'm sure you know him. So what all do we have here, guys? Give me a tour. I see we got the carbon fiber, those stock motorcycles, like to use to try to trap more air into the carburetors?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that back in the early 90s like that.
They were ahead of their time, weren't they?
Yeah, he definitely was. Because I didn't know they ran a lot of carbon fiber back in the early 90s like that.
Okay.
But he has good spacers, big spacers between the head and the carburetors as well as he made.
And you said that's a legit cylinder head right there as well.
Yeah, it's a 1150 cylinder head, MTC cylinder, 1150 cases.
Have you cracked into the engine at all? No. Okay, probably.
I
There,
didn't-
you never know what could be. There could be cams in there, right? There
Could be.
Yeah.
We haven't taken it apart.
Wow.
Just kind of wanted to leave it the way it was and
Well,
get it cleaned up.
Let's see. This is in Dave's Vance and Hines era. You better be careful. You get in trouble for. There's speed secrets in there. Even in '93, there might be some speed
be.
secrets in there. So what do we have in terms of ignition? Is anything actually wired up?
No, well, that's what I was wondering about, but I don't see any wires. But then I started reading up. They ran all his wires through the frame everywhere.
I see a
So-
big bundle over here.
There's not much wires on here, and on the bike that I saw that he had taken pictures of, well, he's being interviewed in his trailer, and he had the Dana right here, and looked just like this. You didn't see any wires, and that was from Diamond
Clean.
Key Productions back in the day.
Very clean. Pingle Petcock. What type of wheels do we have? Are these RCs?
Oh, we were told those are early style Cosman wheels.
Early style. Okay, and then the chassis, you verified it's a Cosman chassis, right?
Definitely 100% pro stock Cosman period correct chassis.
That is awesome. Where were you able to find, is there any indication on the chassis that
Not
you were...
the chassis itself, but I sent some pictures, some people that are in the know of what these things were. One person still has a chassis just like this that he raced, and I talked to a gentleman yesterday and he said that was definitely a 100% Cosman chassis.
Cool. We'll get a good look at it. And it's like I was mentioning before, it's just so sad. You wish these bikes could talk. You wish these legends were still here with us. Dave's no longer with us to explain this. Sandy Cosman's no longer here with us to explain it. We ran into the same problem that I don't know if you guys saw any of the coverage that I did when they liquidated the JP Cycles motorcycle collection, Elmer Trett's bike. And we were all wondering what the story was. It was a similar deal. It was the bike that Elmer raced, but then it turned into a display bike. And nobody knew the exact story on that. So this is just so fascinating. I wonder, so it's a display bike. I wonder if it's something that Dave raced or tested at one time.
I think it was. This chassis is too nice.
Let's take a look.
It's,
Let's take a look over
I
on
don't
this.
think it's just a chassis. He's had to race it or plan to race it or maybe use it just to test motors. Who knows? But back in those days, to this day, this is a nice chassis.
It is. It's a gorgeous bike, and you know, Dave, so important. I just talked about Elmer Trett. I know when NHRA put out their list of top 50 drivers of all time back in 2001, Elmer and Dave made the list, and I thought that was impressive for an organization mainly focused on four wheels. Heck of a piece of history.
I love Elmer. Elmer is my man.
Well, you know what's cool is, you know, I came up in the AMA Pro Star days and got to announce for Scooter Kaiser in 2001. I heard you guys talking about that. And Scooter told me in the 90s, the three most popular calls to Pro Star were, is Elmer Trett going to be there? Is Dave Schultz going to be there? Is John Myers going to be there?
Yeah.
He said the phone would ring and it would be one of those three questions 9 times out of 10.
I also read that.
Those were the three pits that I made sure I made my rounds to at every race,
Wow.
especially Elmer. I loved Elmer.
All right, boys. So I mean, here's the big question. It is now somebody can take it home, the right owner. Are you guys tempted to keep this thing at all, being that you're such super fans?
I'm tempted to, but it needs to be out in the public for the public to see. I think it'd be better in a museum or somewhere, a restaurant, somewhere for people to see it. It doesn't need to be in a warehouse for another 10, 12 years.
I do agree with that wholeheartedly. I think it would be amazing to get it somewhere where everybody could enjoy it. You know, maybe we can get a hold of a Barber Museum, an AMA Museum, an NHRA Museum, something. Get a hold of somebody out there who wants to display it. So Terry, where are we at right now in terms of what is the asking price for this beauty?
Well, $11,500.
Excellent. And if anybody is interested, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
They said they could call me directly at 407-448-2136, or send me a message on Facebook.
And your name on Facebook, just so we have the full name, is
Terry Jones.
Terry Jones on Facebook. They might any picture they need to look for. I imagine there's probably a 10 gazillion Terry Joneses, right?
Well,
What do you on? What do you look like on there?
Terry Jones, Orlando, Florida.
Or there we go. Okay, that probably narrows it down to like 5 or 6 Terry Joneses, I would think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. Man, guys, what a piece of history, though. Let's take a look at. It's got this, the special Pro Stock brake lever. This is some Gramica stuff. Let's dive in a little bit. Look at the battery box. Looks like a piece of aluminum for a super light battery box. Vance and Hines competition exhaust system. We'll take a look at the front wheels again. Great looking body work. Now I know at one point Dave actually had his own molds for different types of body work. I wonder if that was the case here. He's got the cool Greg Cope cylinder heads. Super awesome. So what's it been like so far advertising this thing? I know your phone's been blowing up. Is it tough to get serious guys?
It's hard to get serious people, yeah.
Because everybody
Real hard, just...
everybody wants to reminisce.
Yeah,
Right.
the stories are great, but I'd like to be able to talk to somebody that knows exactly.
Exactly.
We've got a lot of people guessing, and maybe they're a little bit more than just guessing, but it'd be nice to know to talk to somebody that actually knows exactly.
Well, you know what? I'm glad I'm here today because I think in coming days, I may be able to get you somebody really close to the situation.
Well, that's good.
Who may know. And we do know a lovely lady up in the Brooksville area named Meredith DeGlopper Schultz, who I think...
If you know her, that probably... Actually, supposedly someone that I was texting reached out to her
Yeah.
and mentioned this bike wasn't a bike that Dave raced, but that's okay if it's a display bike. But supposedly that was his body. It's just so much, you just
The
don't know.
wheelie bar's got the #1
Oh.
sticker on it.
That was... Do you mind? Can we see the wheelie bars in the
Yeah,
mannequin?
absolutely,
Thank you
yeah.
very much. Would you like to bring it out or would you like me to follow you?
Either way, don't know.
Okay, guys, we'll check it out. Let me know what you think
You
about
want to
this.
do the mannequin?
Absolute piece of
definitely.
history. This is so... We could just sit around all day. I think
You
I...
want to come in and do both?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Well, man, I really appreciate you guys having. Maybe I need to get this and take it to Cycle Drag headquarters just to do podcasts and things in front
You'd
of
be
because
the perfect person for it.
I got Schultz's leathers. I got his legit leathers. Thank you to
Dave
Meredith.
Schultz is sitting in here right now.
Dave Schultz
Dave
is
Schultz
sitting
has
in
been
here.
all over town with me.
All right.
He's been in my truck. He's been eating dinner with me.
And dude, guys, if you've ever seen Dave Schultz race, if you have any memories, leave them down below. Here it is, guys. It gets even sweeter. Dave was smart enough to include a mannequin with this. What are we looking at here, Terry and Jason?
This is David's original suit, helmet,
Wow.
gloves. This was actually set up to sit on the bike like he's racing it, all tucked in with his feet on the pegs, his hands on the bars, and tucked in.
That is so awesome. And this comes with the motorcycle as well.
Yes, it does.
Man, I got to imagine this alone is a pretty valuable piece. I can tell you, I'm so happy to have a set of Dave Schultz leathers. And I can't imagine what a collector would want to pay for that. And authentic helmet right there. Looks like a used helmet that
Definitely is.
definitely went down the racetrack for sure.
Get the stickers on the sides. You can get the.
You know what's cool is there's enough photos floating around that you may be able to match it. And one of the sneaky tricks we can do too is Dave went back and forth between Bates and Vanson. So this was the Bates era, and that would help us identify a few things. And look, even
This is Triple Crown. We tripled up on the helmet.
let's take a look over here, guys. This is awesome. Wow. Oh yeah, the Triple Crown. Where's that at? Right. There's Carcraft magazine. Where'd you see the Triple Crown at?
That one over me. So
Oh, very cool. Okay. And when he was the only Triple Crown winner back then, it was NHRA, IDBA, and ProStar. If you won all three, you were the Triple Crown winner.
And he also had, like he always did, he was the only one back in the day that had his bike wired up here, I guess, so he can talk.
Oh, so cool.
So he had this wired in, so he plugged it into the bike when he got on it.
That is so cool. Man, what a piece of history. And then it gets better. We got a set of wheelie bars, too. Tell me what we're looking at over here, Terry.
Well, that's the wheelie bars we got with the bike. They're made out of aluminum. They have rubber all over them, so I can't believe anybody says the wheelie bars on that bike never were used.
So probably 100% used in some capacity.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Now, here's what's interesting, though. If the sticker says 94 Winston Champ, then we know these wheelie bars were at least as old as 95, right? Because he would have only been able to get that sticker
Exactly.
in after the 94 season. So these wheelie bars from the year 95.
And those are the lightest wheelie bars I've
Oh my God, I bet. Like I said, that's why I got to laugh that even where Dave Schultz was back in 93 on a Pro Stock motorcycle, probably so far ahead as some of our bracket guys. Look at that. That's ridiculous. That is so light.
All the Heim joints are smaller than what we normally use. Everything, and he screwed them in instead of welding it in, I guess the same way.
Wax shop, Electron carburetors,
All that whole
MRE,
panel
MTC.
is like 2 sheets of paper is what it weighs, literally. It's unbelievable. The stickers are heavier than the panel.
This is such a piece of history. This is so awesome, guys. Let's see. All right, they're gonna let me. Let's do it like this. 2 fingers, okay? Oh my!
Is that crazy light or
goodness.
what? I've never felt a set of wheelie bars that light. in my life.
1993, 1995. This is how far ahead of the game Dave Schultz was. Wow. Super.
Look at the way he did the Heim joints, how small they are. That's kind of scary to run such small Heim joints on a bike like that back in the days.
Man, such an awesome piece of history.
I guess he swapped them out.
He knew how to keep these motorcycles light, that's for sure.
Yes, he did.
Wow, what a legend. And guys, I don't even want to really handle these panels too much, but I remember,
I mean, them being on there.
gosh, but what we had just talked about, what I told these gentlemen is I know when Dave Schultz and Paul Gass had the H2, the bodywork on there was like paper mache. And that is, I mean, this looks pretty solid, but it's not much, is it? I mean,
No, when I was putting that back on the wheelie bars, it's super thin.
so thin.
It's super thin.
It weighs pretty
carbon
much
fiber.
nothing. Very
Your
cool.
cycle drag stickers are stronger than that.
Yeah, how about that?
That would bend and hit the ground right now.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, Dave would not put, I would have to get Dave a special cycle drag sticker to put on there, that's for sure.
But she had them on there back then.
Yeah, so I don't think Dave would, I think it would be too heavy for him.
He would run
Oh,
right
Dave,
there.
we're sorry, Dave.
You gotta do it.
God bless you, Dave. He's hopefully
Gotta have the cycle drag on there.
hopefully he's chuckling from above with that one, but you know, that would be too heavy. We would get Dave Schultz an ultra light sticker if he was offering to run it, that's for sure. Super cool. You know what's cool? I want to see the back. I always loved where Schultz put his name, which was smart. A lot of racers put their name up here. Dave opted to put his sponsor up there, and then Dave always went with his name down below, right above, right on the lower end of his
Sponsors are more
back.
important.
Amen.
You had that.
And we're just telling Schultz stories over here, talking about how later he would go to the Hayabusa. He was the first to go to the Hayabusa, and there is the die cast. Does the die cast come in with this? I don't know.
John Myers too. No.
Oh man, here you go, right on the table. John Myers. I have the John Myers. I don't have that Dave Schultz one. That's awesome. All right, now what are you going to do if somebody asks for the die cast with the bikes?
No die cast.
I don't blame you. You got to hang on to what you love. But there's the two legends.
Get the
R.I.P.
John Myers bike.
Greatest.
So that's all we can get.
Yeah, George would know more about that. George Bryce tells me he wishes he would have hung on to a couple of them, but he has sold them all. And can't blame him at the time. You got to figure, people ask me about this, and at the time, you got a top dollar race machine that's breaking records. You got to cash out. But then maybe 20 years later, you say, man, I wish
You
I would
look
have
back
kept that
at it
thing.
and you're like, man, I wish I never sold that, which I've done it.
Piece of histories. Let's take one more look at that beautiful body. Well, you guys definitely got a piece of history here, and I'm going to try to work to get as much information as I can for you. Like I said, I think we have a pretty good source. Now, we are talking about 32 years ago, so we're talking about, we're going to have to jog people's memories, but man.
I don't think we're going to have to jog them too much.
That is so cool. Man. I certainly wish Dave was still here to tell us about it.
Yeah.
What a great racer.
Fits perfect, man.
Man. What an awesome guy, too. I remember I was a young kid. He would sign baseball cards. Back then, NHRA had their own trading cards, and he would sign them for me, sign posters for me. That was cool. When you guys think of Dave Schultz, what's the best racing memory that comes to mind when you got to see him? I know you said you were at ADCO a couple
I
times.
love watching him and John Myers run in Gainesville.
Probably one of the best rivalries in all of motorsports ever.
It was, to me it was.
They-
I love watching those two race. Those are the two best looking bikes. Yeah. They are both local. To me, they're local. John Myers was.
That's right.
So it was great seeing them race.
And Dave was a Florida boy.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what Scooter told me, that now, now a lot of teams live in Indy to be centrally located.
Exactly.
Dave towed out of Florida every time. If they were racing Pomona, if they were racing, God knows where, he towed out of Florida.
Yeah, long haul to every race.
So he loved Florida, guys. But
Did you know he used to work? His wife would drive the truck, and he would be inside the trailer working on his bike all the way to the race.
Could you imagine that?
And then he'd go to sleep in the trailer, and she'd pull up to the track.
And if poor Meredith hit a bump, I bet she was in trouble.
Yeah.
When he's back here trying to shim cams.
Can you imagine?
Oh,
being
God.
In the back of the semi-trailer, working on your bike all the way to the races? That is dedication.
He was a workaholic, and he had a profound impact on so many. What was cool is a couple years ago, I got up with Antron Brown and spoke to Antron because I'm so proud of how far Antron's come. And he said probably the biggest racing influence in his life was Dave Schultz. That he said before he was allowed to go down the racetrack, he had to take the bike apart 5 times, put it back together just to understand how everything worked. And that's the kind of guy Dave was. He knew you weren't just jumping on a bike. You needed to really understand the game and how everything worked together. So super cool, guys. I love it. The other thing that blows my mind, too, is, like I said, I'm looking at this thing, and it looks like a top-notch bracket bike that we still see out there today. Is somebody crazy enough that they want to go put their motor in it and run it just like this? Who knows?
It'd definitely be a good 860 bike. 460 bike.
It would definitely get a whole lot of attention. Well, guys, thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you.
I
Thanks
really
for coming
appreciate you having me.
Thanks, Jack.
And somebody's got to take this home and keep us updated. But let's see if maybe we can find some more information about this piece of history. That's awesome. That is so cool. Whew. Oh, what a beautiful day of riding. I thought this Kawasaki KZ could outrun the rainstorm, but unfortunately, it just started pouring, so I stopped. I'm going to wait. It's okay, too. We got a little bit of polishing to do on Old School, but not bad. Not bad. Well, it's thundering pretty bad. We might hang out at this gas station for a little bit, but sometimes that's what happens when you're out there. You get caught in the rain. Polish it up. 1977 Kawasaki KZ1000. Finally got a day off the road. If you noticed, I've been traveling like crazy, doing content everywhere. Finally got a weekend home. I said, I want to burn some gas with this thing. It's running like a dream. That was a lot of fun. The only thing that wasn't fun for me was getting caught in the pouring, soaking rain. So yes, I do have a little bit of polishing to do. Thank goodness I was able to tuck in under a gas station, but that was a great ride, and that was a great trip down memory lane. And I think these guys really have something here. One thing that I want to say that I mentioned to them is when you talk about the collector market, if you follow our content from Mecum, you know that I've said race bikes don't do very well. That's the unfortunate truth. Everybody wants a 1973 Z1 900, and they want it to look like how it rolled off the showroom floor. I've seen a lot of impressive race bikes at Mecum that did not bring in big money. And I think the reason is the market for those bikes is so small. So do I think these guys have an unreasonable price for this bike? No, I don't think it's unreasonable, but I think it's going to take the right Dave Schultz fan and loyalist. And I don't think anybody would buy it for an investment standpoint, because here's the sad reality as well. Dave's been gone for 20 plus years. I was lucky to see him as a young boy, but what's that mean for the next generation coming up? It's no disrespect to Dave, but it's just reality is how many people are going to remember him from the next generation. I use the example of, could I get my nephew to buy this bike? Probably not. Right now, the struggle is just to get my nephew to the races and get him interested in anything that burns gasoline. But we had a larger story to tell, and that is, what was the true story here? And that's why I had been texting back and forth with Earl, and Earl said, boy, you got Meredith's attention because she's been working the phones and making some calls. So I said, that's it. I got to clean up my KZ, and I got to take another ride up there. So let's go see if we can find out some information from Meredith and Earl. You're invited. Come on, guys. Let's go. I want to know, what do you think the bike is worth down below?